Right then, viewers of the Amber Army YouTube channel, we haven't had one of these for a while, but I've managed to talk an ex-player into doing a one-to-one with me again. Joss Labadie, former captain. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me today.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Top man. So, well, no time at the present. We will go straight into the questions I got for you, if that's okay, mate.
Let's go.
Excellent stuff. So, you were born in Croydon. So how come you got picked up by West Brom for their youth team?
Well, what it was, when I was younger, going through school, and while I was approaching like the scholarship age, my dad didn't really want me to go to an academy because he knew how cutthroat the industry was. So he kept me away from that until I was 15, and it was time to go and get a scholarship. And I was actually training with West Ham for 6 weeks. Come to the end of the 6-week trial, and they didn't offer me nothing. So it was then I went to a college called Barking Abbey, and they'd done like a sports scholarship. So I was training there. I think I had 2 sessions, and the guy there, his name was Dave Muir. He knew Dan Ashworth, who was the academy director at West Brom at the time, and I think their centre midfielder, Anthony Bruce, he broke his leg, so there was after midfielder. Went up, played 1 game against Stoke. I think it was under 16s, it might have been under 18s. But after that game, Dan Ashworth and Craig Shakespeare, I think he was at Norwich now, was at Villa with Dean Smith. They offered me a 2-year scholarship, and then, went from there really. So I was quite lucky.
Oh, awesome. So during your time at West Brom, you had loan moves to Shrewsbury, Cheltenham and Tranmere, if that's correct?
Yep, that's right, yeah.
Before, obviously, eventually then you got a permanent move to Tranmere. So was Tranmere the better fit really for you at the time?
Well, to be fair, I went to Shrewsbury. The first time I went to Shrewsbury, I went in January when I was 18, played a game against Bradford, made my debut at Valley Parade, and we drew that 1-1, done okay. And then on the Monday, I ended up breaking my foot, so I went back, and then done all my rehab there. Then the start of the next pre-season, Paul Simpson signed me again. Started the season off really well. I scored like 5 goals in the first 12 games, and then we actually had a game against Staines in the FA Cup, and because we was favourites to go up, we ended up losing that game. I had a bit of a torrid. A few of the other boys did, the whole team, and then he come out and he sent me back and transfer listed about 3 other players.
Really?
At the time, yeah.
On the back of that one game.
On the back of that one game, yeah, which was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, I was devastated with that, and then went to Cheltenham, and then in that same season. Ended up going to Tranmere in League One. So Shrewsbury and Cheltenham were League Two. Went to Tranmere. I had to send. It was back when there was no all the analysis weren't on the laptops. You had to send DVDs off. So my agent was sending DVDs to Les Parry to try and get into this. Into League One. Then played the last 5 games at Tranmere. They was in a relegation fight. Ended up scoring 3 in the last 5, and then they offered me a 2-year contract. So I had 2 years there, which I thoroughly enjoyed at Tranmere. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know in your second season at Tranmere, you made 31 appearances and scored 5. Why didn't they offer you a deal at the end of that second season then? Because it sounds like you had a good season there.
Yeah, I've done all right. Well, there's a change of manager. Ronnie Moore come in. He was there before. He was a legend. And for whatever reason, they made a few signings. James Wallace, Max Powell was coming through. He was at Wigan. And then, I don't think he fancied me, to be fair, Chris. And then, just one of them things. It's funny because I was actually top scorer that season. I think there was like 3 or 4 of us ended up on 5 goals. But yeah, they ended up letting me go, and then I signed a deal. And Notts County was also in League One at the time. You signed a 1-year deal and then another 1-year deal after there. But yeah, it's one of them things. Some managers have you, some managers don't, and just part and parcel of football. Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing personal.
So eventually, then it was Torquay after Notts County. That was following a loan spell, so I take it things didn't really work out that well at Notts County, so obviously they sent you out. Were Torquay a better fit than Notts County, would you say?
again is a funny one because I got loaned out. Who was it at the time? I think it was can't remember who the manager, because I had 2 loan spells at Torquay.
Hmm.
In my first year at Notts County, I went there in the January, scored 4 goals in 7 games, ended up getting recalled, and then played the back end of that season under Chris Kawamia, and done well. They offered me a new contract, and then Sean Derry come in just after the start of the next year at Notts County. He wasn't having me, sent me on Torquay, sent me to Torquay on loan again. And I just think it was probably the wrong move at that time, because I probably kept the memories still fresh from the season before where I scored 4. We had a reasonably successful time, but yeah, it weren't to be, and we was like really struggling in that league, and Torquay ended up going down that year. It probably wasn't the best decision, but it's one of them things, I suppose.
Yeah, because obviously you got relegated with Torquay, and then 2 years later you were relegated with Dagenham. Did you feel as though you were cursed or something at the time?
No, not really. To be fair, I know we said to be fair, you give me the heads up, and you said we won't go into the biting thing, but I'll touch on it. The last 10 games at Torquay, I was actually banned for the biting incident. So I didn't play, and then obviously Torquay offered me another contract, which I didn't. I wasn't well. They wasn't relegated at this point, but obviously I didn't want to commit in case they did. And then ended up going to Dagenham, going back home. Had my first child, Delilah. So just went back home to Essex, where I'd have the support of my family. So went back there, and it was one of them things. Ended up getting done for the biting in my first year again, and then I ended up getting actually done for 6 months. That was my second year, sorry, and then so I didn't actually return to football until I think it was the November. And by that time, we'd only won 1 game out of 20, so. Yeah, the odds were against us, and we actually went for a period mid-season, January, Feb, where we went on a bit of a run, and we looked like we might do it. But it was just too much for us to actually do. And we ended up going down at Dagenham, and then after that, that's when I signed for Newport and Warren Feeney.
Okay, so before you joined Newport, any particular high points? I know we've touched on a few lows there. Any particular high points that you remember fondly before you joined Newport?
So. Obviously, we know about the cup runs at Newport, but before that, the only real experience I had was Liverpool in the League Cup at Anfield with Notts County, where we drew 2-2, took them to extra time, and then they scored 2 in extra time. But that was a surreal experience. My first taste of something like that in front of, I think it was 44,000, playing with like Steven Gerrard, Sterling, Coutinho. Ended up getting Daniel Agger's top. My dad's he's a big Liverpool fan, so I got that for him. Got that signed, and then and when I was at Dagenham, we got to the 3rd round of the FA Cup, and we played Everton, which was a good experience again. But obviously, we got used to it at Newport, so it was it was nice, and it was my first taste of a cup run.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you remember, but you remember the Colchester United game? It was the game after Warren Feeney had lost his job, because obviously Feeney signed you. And it was a Colchester United, and you were suspended for that game, and you were actually in the stands with us. And I'm not sure you remember, but me and you actually spoke about Feeney sacking, and you said that you were absolutely gutted for him. Yeah. And obviously the likes of Scott Bennett put out that he was devastated for him, and there was a few others that really spoke highly of him and really felt bad for him. Was he that good of a guy to work with?
He was a really good guy, really approachable. He's like had a really personal relationship with his players, and he was a genuinely good guy. So when you're playing under a manager and you've got a relationship like that, you can't help but feel responsible. I mean, I think I only ended up playing I've been 6 or 7 games under Fino because I was injured, and I think I had a suspension. But it's really disappointed. But sometimes things just don't work out in football, and it doesn't mean he's a bad manager or he's a bad person, because he's gone on to Bulgaria and he's had success out there. Yeah, and things have really worked out for him. It's just at the time, obviously, that didn't fit, and Newport and Fino ended up going separate ways, and that's when I think Wesley come in after that, who again I had a really good relationship with. It was funny because I haven't told this story either, because he was the manager of Stevenage when I got done for biting the second time while I was at Dagenham. So we were sat in the dressing room, and when we heard the news that Wesley was coming in, it was like me, John Parkin, and we was like having, obviously not physical money bets, but we were saying, "Oh, who's going to be the first one out the door then? Because you don't run, so he's not going to be having you." He tried to. Well, he was the manager of the opposing team when I got done for the incident. So yeah, wonder who's out the door first. But luckily, he come in. I didn't play under him because I had a hammy injury. I only played like 3 or 4 games under him, to be fair. And then, but yeah, I had a really good relationship with him, and still kept in touch after. And I think he had a column in the Football League paper, and he was always very like, he always spoke very well with me. And yeah, I can't thank him enough for that. I know, again, he didn't have the greatest time at Newport, and with the fans, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't. Well, I know they didn't take to him. I'm not going to beat around the bush, but with me, I had a good relationship with him.
Yeah. Oh, fair play. But that season, there was 3 managers we had during that season. And you were on the verge of a 3rd non-league relegation then as well. So what have I got here now? Up until Flynn took over, how would you describe that season? Basically, up until the point Flinny took over.
Yeah, it was a bit of a car crash, to be fair. When you look back, the team wasn't great when you compare it to the ones that Flinny assembled after that. But yeah, what he brought in straight away was togetherness. And even though the boys, it wasn't the greatest team or the greatest Newport team we've ever seen, but everyone just dug in, fought for each other. And we set some foundations at the club, and that's why he's a club legend.
So what did he actually change? I mean, obviously there was obviously something had to change, because it was like chalk and cheese. The performances just went from that bad under Wesley to great under Flynn. You know, to go into what was more or less promotion form to keep us up by the skin of our teeth. What did he change really within the dressing room and in training?
I think he just made it, like, no disrespect to Wesley, but Wesley was a very hard worker. He had the boys like working hard, and I think like maybe the boys were mentally and physically drained at that point, and they couldn't give no more. And I think it was a bit of a refresher when Finney come in, and yeah, I think it helped him where he was. Well, I think he was still playing at the time, wasn't he? Because I think he played a couple of games under Wesley, where he was so recently retired. He knew the way players' minds worked, what got the best out of them, and he just put us all together, and he just simplified it. I mean, some of his sessions at the time, it was just literally we'd go in, we'll have a circle. So basically, it's pig in the middle. You keep the ball, we'll do a bit of possession, and then play small-sided games. And as you know, for a footballer, like that's all we want to do, play games. And I know you have to do on the other side where it's tactical and where you're standing about and you're learning, and that's part and parcel. You have to do that bit, but Flinny just simplified it, and it really worked for him. The boys dug in, and yeah, thankfully he had a good bunch of lads to work from, and then yeah, it just went from there.
Well, one of the more notable changes that he made was obviously making you captain for the rest of the season. So how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I was honoured. Actually, Graham Wesley pulled me on I think it was either on a Tuesday or the Thursday, because we had Wednesday off. He pulled me because I was just back from injury, and he said, "Oh, you're going to be my captain from now on." And then he ended up getting a chop on the Thursday, I think it was, or it might have been the Friday. And Flynn was like, "Yeah, I'm going to keep that decision in place." And yes, I was honoured to be named captain of the football club. And yeah, we managed to get off to a good start. I think I scored a winner in injury time at Crewe, which made it 2-1, and that's really set us off on our run. And yeah, went from there.
So at that moment, because that was actually going to be my next question, obviously pointing out that you scored the winner at Crewe, I was there as well. I enjoyed it very much. At that point, did you believe, yeah, we can do this?
Yeah, I'm always optimistic. Even like every pre-season I go into, like, I wouldn't. There'd be no point if you weren't optimistic. Well, just what we go work for, because it was still doable, still mathematical. And I think I always get this wrong. Was it 10 or 12 points we was adrift, or
11? It was 11 points at that point.
It was 11. With how many games to go was it?
12 games. 11 points.
Yeah,
12
so
games.
yeah, back-to-back wins, and you're back in there. And it's always the way with the team underneath, when they get on a run, the team that are third bottom always get a bit squeaky, and it happens near enough every year. So I was quietly confident.
They're all feeling the heat in the end, though, weren't they? I mean, we had those
it does
back-to-back
affect you.
wins. I think we had the draw against Luton. I know we lost a few games in amongst all that, but we were getting the wins, weren't we? You know, especially when we pulled Yeovil back into the mix as well. You know, things started getting squeaky for them. But that took us on, obviously, to the Notts County game and the goal, as we come to know it as the goal. Your celebration. Now, you've probably seen the videos and you've seen, you know, was obviously you're overjoyed at that point because you think, you know, bloody hell, you know, if we can hold on there, we've actually done it. But was it a feeling of relief because that had to play on your mind that you know, that could be another relegation into non-league, you know, with another team.
I mean, pure relief. I mean, I was absolutely exhausted as well. I mean, if you look at the last clips from the game, I think I'd lost both my shin pads, my socks around my ankles, like Grealish, and I had nothing in the tank. And I think all the boys felt like that because that's back in the day, in the days where the pitch was a nightmare to play on. It was sandy, it was boggy, so we had nothing left. And I still get goosebumps even you just talking about it. Then that feeling, I still remember it like it was yesterday. And Mark O'Brien obviously scoring his first goal couldn't have been at a better time. And the celebration after, I was just I think all the boys were relieved, exhausted, but still had a bit to go, so we couldn't get too complacent. And I mean, during that game anyway, we was 100% to every ball, and it carried on after that. And then we managed to see it out, but the scenes after were a joke. When I don't know if you was out and about, but there was flares going off in pubs, and also it was unbelievable.
Because I remember I didn't even know who scored the goal. I mean, I only looked up just as it was being kicked in because I had my phone in my hand. I was on Sky Bet getting the live updates from Hartlepool and Doncaster, hoping Doncaster was going to score an equaliser, thinking, I can't see another goal in this game. This is where it's going to be for us. Doncaster got equalised. But I looked up and then I was just seeing it go in. My phone went. I'm sure I dropped it. I didn't care at the time. The rest is history now, though, isn't it?
Surreal, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Well, one of the best moments for me as a county. I mean, I know it's putting yourself away from a massive negative, but that feeling of euphoria, you know, that was unbelievable. You know, on the pitch afterwards as well. As you probably noticed, I quite selectively chose the top that from the Great Escape. Absolutely. So obviously following from the Great Escape, obviously we went into much better times then in the Flinny. Most notably, as you touched on earlier, with the cup runs, and the first one was obviously beating Leeds in the third round and taking on Spurs. Instead of asking you sort of individual questions about it, just sort of sum it up, you know, in your own personal experience, what it was like to go on that first run. We'll get on to the second one afterwards, but that one in particular.
Yeah, it was good, and we could have probably gone one further if I'd have just marked Kane a bit better at the back post as well. So, but at least we got another day at Wembley. But it was unbelievable. I think we played Leeds. We played Leeds in the League Cup, and we got tonked 5-1, didn't we, that season?
Yeah, that's right.
At
Right at the beginning of the season, yeah.
And then we ended up playing them in the FA Cup, and we done them. I think that game was on TV, and then we had Tottenham. Played really well that game as a team, and it was 1-0 till late on, and then Harry Kane scored at the back post. And then we went to Wembley because their stadium wasn't finished, and then they outplayed us, which was expected. But we tried. We give a good account of ourselves, but they had too much in it on a big pitch, a nice flat pitch as well. So nothing was expected, but we've done ourselves proud, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, 100%. So that season we got to the playoff final and we played Tranmere. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any repercussions if you say it, but do you think we were robbed in that game?
Yeah, well, you look back on it and you think, I actually played with Manny Month now at Walsall. And he says to me, like, Stonewall penalty, I can't believe. Obviously, just rubbing salt in the wounds now for you guys. But he's like, I thought I'd give it away because I think that was in the 90th minute as well. And he was just like, it was a Stonewall penalty, so he admits it. But we was robbed. But it's football and it's part and parcel, and it's one of them things, and you drive yourself mad if you keep thinking about it. But it weren't meant to be. Maybe one day, but it weren't meant to be on that occasion.
Well, you know, I mean, the following season, you know, we obviously had a good time of it. I'm
Missed
getting
one
my
out, yeah.
seasons mixed up now. It was last season, it was the Man City one, because it wasn't the season before, because we finished around at mid-table then. The following season, the second cup run. So where did the second cup run measure up against the first one?
It was different. It was different emotions for me because obviously they're both amazing. But the second cup run, I actually left to do my rehab at Oxford, and then I ended up coming back. I think I signed back in November, so I missed the Leicester one. I played Middlesbrough, but I was just I was not happy to be there. But obviously I was in a bad place with my knee, and I was just happy to be back on the pitch again, playing against them type of players.
Yeah.
But and I wasn't back to my best form at that time either. Whereas the first time I felt like I was a real force for County when we was playing Tottenham, and I felt like I was in a good place doing myself justice. Second time round, obviously, granted, I'd just come back from my ACL, the first one, but yeah, I wasn't. I felt like I didn't do myself justice in them games. But yeah, it was still obviously a good experience getting playing against them teams. I mean, I got Fernandinho's top, who I'm a big fan of, and yeah, it's great scenes at Middlesbrough, great scenes at Leicester. I mean, I didn't take part in Leicester, but I was in the change room, and yeah, the boys were amazing. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Awesome. Obviously, that was when we got to the playoff final. Then,
Yeah.
I know it was a bit of a drab season afterwards, and obviously the kicking off of COVID and everything. But then the season after, then obviously we had the League Cup run when we obviously took Newcastle to penalties, and well, we probably should have won the game because it was a late goal by Shelvey. I'll still never understand why he did that in an empty stadium, though.
Yeah, I know
So,
that's just John Joe. He's from the same area as I am, but yeah, that's just what he's like, and
yeah,
yeah, he's emotional, and obviously I think he must have been getting a bit of stick, and that's why he's done it.
fair play. But how did that League Cup run measure up to the FA Cup ones? I mean, I know they're not going to be that good, but it's still a good run and it's still worth a good mention.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still, I think, whenever you're playing Premier League opposition, it's players of that caliber and on that amount of money, it's always good to challenge yourself and put yourself to the test and see how you come up against them. But I didn't play in the Newcastle game for some reason. I think I might have been injured, but yeah, the FA Cup's got a bit of extra magic to it. And it's just like obviously the main competition, club competition, cup competition in England, and yeah, for me, like nothing will compare to them FA Cup run.
So in that season, then obviously we started great. We lost Twiney and Brandon Cooper and a few others, and it seemed to go sort of downhill, peaked back up towards the end. But it took us to the playoff final against Morecambe, where, in my opinion, I think the robbing was even more obvious than the first one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we should have had a penalty in the opening stages when Benno's got clattered in the head by their keeper. And then obviously the penalty which the ref give, which was outside the box, and it wasn't even a foul. So,
No.
but yeah, it's just yeah, like again, you drive yourself mad if you think about it. But
I
wasn't
know I
meant to
do,
be, Chris.
particularly
Yeah,
the Morecambe one. I do, yeah.
you think what if? You think what happens if we kept Swiney and Coops?
And
Um,
that was
yeah,
going to be the next point. Should we really have just finished top three and not have to go through that in the playoffs?
you say that, and I'm not blaming anyone, but you look at the start of the season. If we managed to keep hold of Jammer for whatever reason, Jamil Matt, we kept them two players as well, and then that's the difference. That's three players. They're important players of the team. Because I think that season, I think that top scorer was only on 7, 8 goals, and that
Yeah,
was Matty Dolan
Hodge, I
from
think
centre
he
half.
was on eight
Yeah,
or nine. I think
yeah.
he was on, but Twiney was on 7, 8, wasn't he? Anyway,
Went back in Jan, didn't he? Did he go back in Jan? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I mean. So taking a lot of goals out of the team, assists as well with 20. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
So, obviously, at the end of that season, that was your time to move on.
yeah.
Was there any particular reason for that? Did you just think it was just come to a natural
Um,
end?
well, obviously I've had the best times of my career at Newport, but I just thought I was approaching 30. Players were leaving for whatever reason. Obviously, She's kicked on. He went to Bolton, a massive
Yeah,
club. He was a big part of our play, and I just didn't want to. Well, number one, I didn't want to. I didn't want it to end on a sour note, and just. Oh, well, ideally, I would have liked to have ended on a promotion, and then it changes the whole thing. But people might not know, but I was travelling down. Obviously, my family's based in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I've got 3 children, so I was staying down in Newport 2-3 nights a week, depending on our fixture on the weekend. And obviously, I wanted to be back home with my family full time. My kids are all in school now, so that was a big factor as well. As much as I love Newport, as much as I loved the club, I just felt like it was the right time to move on. But yeah, it's just one of them things. Like I said, the best times of my career at Newport with the cut runs and the 2 playoff finals. Shame we couldn't go one further, but yeah, that was the reasoning, Chris. To be fair.
Yeah, because it didn't surprise me that you went to Walsall in the end, because I remember. Do you remember the meet the manager night when you first signed for the club? We were at the Tredegar Park Golf Club, and you and Tom Edwin Evans were sat on the same table as me. Because that's when me and you first met and we first spoke. So,
Okay.
so it was a meet the manager night, and obviously it was with Warren Feeney, and obviously all the players turned up, and there was 2 players on. I remember you and Tom Owen Evans. Funny if you mentioned Grealish, I remember you and Tom Owen Evans were actually talking about him at the time. And then I weighed in then and sort of asked, are you relocating, and so sort of just making small talk and that. And you told me that you moved your family to Birmingham before the move. So I thought, well, when you put your post out to say that you were moving on, I thought he's going to go somewhere close to Birmingham. And I actually mentioned Walsall, or I don't know whether you're going to jump down a league and go to Solihull or something like that. But it didn't surprise me that you went to Walsall in the end.
Yeah, no, yeah, you bang on. Yeah, just Walsall it's local to me. It's Midlands. Had a great manager at the time, Matty Taylor, who I played against.
Yeah,
a lot of respect for, a great relationship with him, and he showed a real interest. I mean, there was a bit of interest, to be fair. Yeah, but I didn't want to move away again. I wanted to be around my family. I didn't want to be like, yeah, do you know what I mean? I wanted to be settled, which I was settled at Newport, but in terms of like real settled, where you're at home, you can do the school runs, or you can pick up your children, or you can take them to brownies and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I wanted to do, which I've missed out on. And when obviously all of them going to school, it's obviously for my partner to help her out as well. I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you were with us for a lot longer than the average player stays at a club at our level. So, I don't think anyone would begrudge you the move, especially, given that you wanted to move closer, well, be right on top of your family. You could live at home with them and go to training and go to the games and go home afterwards. It makes a lot of sense for you. So, at the end of the day, you achieved great things at the club, and, you, like I said, you were really, really top player for us. So, can't fault you for that at all, mate. But I know now, obviously, you get into that age where you've got to start thinking about life after football. And I know that you have some business interests. And obviously, I want to give you the opportunity to share that with our fan base and anybody else that might watch. So from what I've seen, obviously, so you're the owner, if that's correct, you're the owner of 2 different kicks sites. That's in Newport and Redditch.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you're part of a company called True Life.
Yeah, mortgages and protection. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I know your LinkedIn bio also says something about you being keen to support businesses. So, well, feel free to tell us about all of that then, if you want.
Yeah. So what it is the Kicks is just an academy, introduction to football for children from 2 years old to 10 years old. We do that on a Saturdays and Sundays in Newport at Goal Academy and Hill Millennium Centre. So, yeah, we've got a lot of kids that go down there over a weekend, and it's just basically building confidence for children, communication, just the early stages to football. And then obviously as they get older, they join teams, and that if we can assist and help in any way, that's what we aim to do. Obviously do the same in Redditch, which is my hometown where I live, which is going really well at the moment. So yeah, that's Kicks. True Life Mortgages and Protection. Got in with them through Marlon Jackson, actually, who's he put me onto them. A guy called Lewis Powell, who's the owner of True Life, and he approached me and he said that he thinks it'd be a good fit for me. So it's something I'm doing as well, just sorting out life insurance for other colleagues, players, people that might not have the protection in place that they need. So yeah, doing that. That's going really well as well. Also cover injuries. So yeah, and then with the business stuff, I'm big into property and always keen to network and stuff like that. So that's what that is really, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously you utilise your LinkedIn pretty well then, because obviously that's what it's for, really, and for business networking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you watching, Josh is going to be sending me some information. I'm going to be putting into the description of this video. So please go and check it out, guys. And any sort of business we can send your way, or any sort of awareness we can raise for kicks, which I think is a great thing. You know, starting kids off early is going to benefit the city, you know, especially if it's in 2 locations as well. Right, okay, so so basically all this basically means that you're not going to be in football after you finish playing, I take it.
Well, funnily enough, I've actually done my B license. I've done my B license while I was at Newport. Yeah, a few of us done it. Me, Matty Dolan, Mickey Demetriou, and Jamil Matt, Scott Bennett, and so we've done that because I'm not 100%. I want to have options. I don't want to get to 35 and be like, oh, what do I do now? What do I enjoy? So what I've done is I've spread my bets and just doing the stuff that that intrigues me at the moment, and then obviously I'll have options at the end. So yeah, trying to keep my fingers in a few pies.
Yeah, fair play. Can't fault that.
Yeah.
And it's the last question now, thankfully, for you, obviously. It's the one I ask everybody. Who's the best player you played with and the best player you played against during your career so far?
Oh, it's an hard one. When you played Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, it's a hard one when you name one, but I'd say the best player I've played against would be maybe David Silva or Foden. Foden was a kid at the time as well, but you couldn't get near him even on Rodney Parade pitch. The way he manipulated the ball, and couldn't get near him because he was so slight as well. I didn't want to go full throttle because I didn't want to hurt him either because he was that good, and obviously he was unreal. Best player I played with. I think obviously my younger days, obviously not first team, but like pre-season friendlies and training would be Jonathan Greening. I'd say he was amazing to learn from as a central midfielder. Kevin Phillips as well. Obviously Grealish I played with at Notts County, who's commanded the highest ever fee for a UK player. But it's going to sound weird, obviously saying that and then saying, but I'm Sheezy's biggest fan, Josh Sheehan, and the way how good he was and how good he was for Newport, especially in his final season. He's definitely up there. I'm a big fan of Sheezy.
Oh, fair play to you. Absolutely fucking phenomenal, mate. Really, really appreciate your time. That's all I got for you.
Thank you very much, mate. Good to be here. Thanks for your time.
No, it's awesome. And like I said, guys, in the description, have a look at Kicks and True Life and everything else that Josh shares with me to share with you. And Josh, thanks a lot for your time and all the best for the rest of your career and life after football.
Thank you very much, mate. I'll keep in touch anyway on LinkedIn, yeah?
Good man. Much appreciated.
Take it easy, mate.
And there we go. Stop.